make a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you fling.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Nick Atkin on the South China Morning Post. This is the post-fight podcast. Today, we're going to break down UFC Fight Island 5. I've got three people with me today. As usual, John and Chris are here. We've also got George Hickman from Tiger Muay Thai. George, pleasure to have you here, man. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it as well.
We loved having your comments in the you watching the live fight companion with us, One Championship. Enjoyed your analysis and banter. Chris, you missed out. Where were you, man?
I was busy to take the girlfriend out on a date.
Well, we'll get you for the next one, hopefully October 30th. Yeah, but today we're going to just discuss, UFC Fight Island 5. But I guess we'll get to that crazy knockout by Joaquin Buckley, but I almost said Jeff Buckley for some reason. Cory Sandhagen against Marlon Moraes. Another spectacular KO. Also a spinning kick. Yeah, John, without ranking it against Buckley's, just how impressive was this from Sandhagen? And that really puts him in a good position, doesn't it, going forward in the division?
It definitely puts him in a good position. He just beat the number one guy in the rankings, Moraes, right? So if you really wanted to argue it, even though he lost in his last fight against Sterling, he could actually get a title shot in his next fight. You don't know what the UFC is going to do. They haven't really committed to Sterling getting that fight against Peter Yan, and Peter Yan tweeted out that you know Peter Yan, he'll fight anybody. He has the belt, he don't care. But he said the UFC is waiting on some stuff, and I in my opinion, I feel like they were waiting on this fight to see the outcome. And if Moraes would have won this fight, or if he would have had a spectacular performance, he would have got the next title shot. But with Sandhagen knocking out Moraes, and I feel like a lot of people didn't expect this to come or this to happen. And heading into it, he was the favorite, which was shocking too at the same time. But he went in there, he knocked him out. I feel like he's probably ranked number 2 in the division. Sterling's ranked number 1. So the UFC's gonna have to decide who they put against Peter Yan. I feel like Sterling deserves the shot because he did finish Sandhagen in the first round. And then if Sterling can't take that fight or something happens, I feel Sandhagen should wait in the wings and maybe possibly get a fight against Peter Yan right away. If he doesn't, I love the TJ Dillashaw fight that he's talking about in the post fight. I like the Frankie Edgar fight too. Both of those are great fights. But if I was him, I would sit back, wait to see what the UFC does with the title, and if they slide him the title on a plate in his hotel room, he needs to take that title and try to take it from Peter Yan. So yeah, man. What do you think, Chris? What do you think about the performance?
Was it an early stoppage, Chris?
You know what? At that moment, I didn't think it was an early stoppage, but watching it again on the replay, it did feel like it was a little bit early, but that's what happens sometimes. That's the fight game. The referee is well within his rights to stop it anyway, because his job is to protect the fighters. I thought Sandhagen put in a really, really good performance. I wasn't sure if he was actually going to be able to put him out in the second that early. He was absolutely fantastic. It's really hard to see where Moraes goes from here, because he's kind of lost his last two in a certain way. And and I guess Sandhagen, probably if I was him, I'd wait for that TJ Dillashaw fight.
Yeah, well, I didn't think it was early. I guess you can make the case, but interesting times in the division. George, we'll get your take on it. It's unusual for us to have three, but yeah, weigh in. What did you think? Spectacular finish, spectacular performance from Cory. Great way to bounce back, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was a great performance. He did a good job in the first round. I thought he won the first round. It was close, but I thought he won it. And then in the second round, that kick was awesome. But I thought even better than that, I enjoyed when he said he had broke his orbital and he pointed at it and said that during the fight. I think that kind of probably played on Moraes' mental game as well, and then he came right away with that kick to finish it. So I thought it was an awesome performance.
And you're still quarantining, right, after getting back from Fight Island. You were there with Loma, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So I've been here now 6 days, I believe.
You going stir crazy?
Doing some yoga, I'm getting my inner zen going on. So just trying to keep my mind occupied. But no, I'm doing all right.
Awesome. Well, what about Moraes? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
George, I was going to ask you actually, do you think his corner shouting in about the orbital and telling him about the orbital and that communication, do you think that would have been as easy to do if we weren't in these times of COVID with no crowd? Do you think it would have been harder for the corner to do? Or is it just, have you found it just the same?
I think that, and I could be wrong, but I think that he initiated it and shouted to his corner. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure, which I thought if it was that way, that was some good, mental tricks that and maybe that's not why he even said it, but I thought it was pretty gangster. But cornering last weekend for Loma in her fight, normally when I listen to myself, like if I watch fights again and I don't turn the volume off, especially with Loma, because I speak Thai to her when she fights.
Yeah.
I can't stand hearing my voice, and I could really hear it this past weekend. But so I think with the nobody in attendance and no crowd there, I think you can definitely, even on the TV, like for the last 5 months, I've been able to hear what everyone's been saying for the most part. So there's definitely a difference that you can tell, you can hear the voices and whatnot, where when there's a crowd, it's just complete chaos and you can't really a lot of times hear the other corner. Whereas this past weekend, I could hear everything the other corner was saying.
I'll throw this out to everyone. What do we think is next for Moraes? Because it looked like UFC was waiting to see if Moraes won this fight, and then they were probably going to put him up against Peter Yan. That's not the case now, and as you said, it looks like Sterling's finally going to be confirmed. But what about Moraes? What's the road back for him? John, we'll go with you.
There's 2 fights in the division for Moraes, man. He's pretty much fought almost all the top contenders, but I feel like the best fight for him, if he does return, and it's going to take a couple months. And guess who's coming back in a couple months? In the beginning of next year? TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah.
And I think that is the fight to make right there. Marlon, he's ranked number 1 right now, but late, in the next week or so, he's going to be dropped down to, let's say, 4 or 5. And he's coming off a loss. And what a better way to return to the winner's column and face a former champ like TJ Dillashaw. Everybody was saying that they would love to see Sandhagen fight TJ, and that's a good fight too. But I think that's also a good fight for Marlon Moraes. Another name that comes up into my mind is Frankie Edgar. He had that win over Sun Sao, and I think like another good fight for him would be Marlon. And both those guys are smaller, compact guys. And you got Frankie with the volume and the wrestling versus Marlon with the striking and the power. I think that's a dangerous matchup right there. Both of those are great.
All right. Well, we normally on this show try to go chronologically down the card, but I feel like we should just get this Buckley KO out of the way because it was so damn crazy. I'm going to try and bring it up on screen. But they're calling it the best knockout in history, the craziest knockout in history. George, where do you think it ranks among all those accolades?
I can't disagree with that. I think that it was an insane. I think everyone kind of had the same reaction because he caught the kick and then there was like a split second pause and then he just like reared up with the spinning back kick to the face. For me, technically it was beautiful. And I would say that, between him and Masvidal, just because Masvidal's was so fast, I would say either one of those were the, 2 best knockouts. But even my man's like, what happened to him and how he went down and whatnot was pretty insane because the camera like stayed on him for a second. And you see him just kind of like almost like pause as he's going down and then still be completely discombobulated. So it was a beautiful KO.
Yeah, I forgot to share it with the audio, so I'm going to play it again because I think you need to hear the sound. It's so good, especially the commentary.
They are so even on total strikes at the moment.
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Man, that is real life ninja stuff.
Real life ninja stuff. Yeah. So I think he only got performance of the night, but Dana White said to him, I want to give you all the bonuses. But there were a few other crazy knockouts, weren't there, John? But yeah, what do you think? Yeah. Well, we had Sandhagen obviously in the main event, Tom Breese, and Chris Daukaus got one as well, didn't he? So fair play. Aspinall.
Du Plessis.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Man, this event was just full of highlights, and Buckley's knockout was incredible. I don't know if it was the greatest knockout in UFC history. Come on, like, it's a prelim fight. Let's look at it logically. It's a prelim fight. These guys are great fighters. Impa's phenomenal, but it's his second fight in the UFC. Also, Buckley's second fight in the UFC. Are they the top tier guys? No. Look at the moment, right? Like Masvidal, he's on a big pay-per-view. He's fighting against a guy that, a lot of people feel like should deserve a title shot at that moment, and goes in there and knocks him out in 5 seconds, right? Like that type of fight. Look at Dan Henderson versus Michael Bisping, the first fight. That was a UFC 100 pay-per-view card. A lot of animosity going into that fight, and he goes in there and just starches Bisping. Like those are the knockouts I've considered like some of the best knockouts in UFC history. This Buckley knockout could be the knockout of the year, and it ranks up there very high. But you gotta put all those aspects, those different dynamics into it to figure out what is the greatest knockout in UFC history. And I don't even think it's like top 5.
I knew you were going to hate on it, John. I knew it.
Of course.
See, the problem.
Well, I'm not the hater. I'm just telling you for real, though. Like, there's some knockouts out there, that are really phenomenal.
Just for me, the technique of it was, like just how he caught the kick, and then, Buckley gave it a split second and said, "Why the hell not?" and just jumped into it, and it landed. And I appreciated the, like the technique of it.
And he was coming off a loss, wasn't he, to Kevin Holland? Is that right?
I have no idea. I've never even heard of the guy, but obviously we have now.
Yeah.
Kevin Holland was throwing shade at him too after the knockout, which was kind of like, come on, man, like give him some respect, right? Even if you beat the dude, like give him some props for the knockout, man. Like you weren't able to do it. You beat the dude, but you weren't able to knock him out like that. Come on, like give Buckley some respect, right? But it's not top 5 of all time. Come on.
No, for me, my number 1 will always be Pride Bushido 1, Mirko Cro Cop on Alberto Del Rio. If anyone remembers that one, made me fall in love with the sport. No matter if someone does something 100 times better, for me, that's always going to be special. And I think it is what happens is you see something special and you remember it, and that's generally your favorite. And I do have to apologize to everyone out there because there's a lot of these cards that me and John don't say are very good. And every time we say it's a bit of a slow burning card or a poor card, they actually tend to be the most exciting. And it actually proves, as they always say, matchups make fights.
Don't throw me with you, man. I always say the cards are good. I always say like these, everybody talks shit about the cards, but really they're sleeper cards. And this one was really, really a card that like, produced some phenomenal fights and performances. I love it, man. And there's a lot of upcoming, like, I don't know if you want to call them prospects, but they're up and comers on this card, I don't really consider like Buckley a up and comer, but like there's Daukaus. Tom Breese has been around for a while and he got a great performance, in this card. Who else is there? Like Tom Aspinall and who else? Scroll down. This guy, he just debuted. Des Plessis. I don't know how to say his name, but he was like a former EFC champ, KSW champ. Like outside the UFC, a lot of people know who he is, and man, he showed it tonight. But yeah, let's go down the card though.
I'm gonna try and find some of those guys we just mentioned. I'll get videos, but Chris, I'll go to you, I guess. Impa Kasanganay had come in with a bit of hype after he got the contract on Contender Series, looked good in his UFC debut, which he took on 11 days' notice. Bit of a setback for him, isn't it? Because he was being looked at as a bit of a prospect in that division.
Yeah, definitely. I was actually predicting very, very big things from him. But it just didn't seem to come off. And I've banged on about it on the podcast for so long. Sometimes fighters need to take a little bit of time off. And I know all they want to do is fight. I know they would fight every week if they could. But sometimes it's better, I think, to have, because you see all these fast turnarounds, and a lot of the time they're just not working. I mean, as a coach, George, what's your opinion on it? Should fighters be fighting 3 times in 3 months, or do you think proper fight camps and analysis of opponents is important?
I kind of think it depends on the situation. You know, it depends on what happened in the previous fight. It depends on who the next opponent is, and I think there's a lot of variables that go into it. And also, you know, not every athlete is the same. So I think you kind of have to coach the athletes different, and depending on the situation. Like I believe it was maybe Aspinall. I'm not sure, or maybe there was one guy that I think that won. And maybe it was somebody else, and I can't remember, but they were saying like he should jump back in there, which I kind of agreed with. Like he had gotten a bit more confident, and somebody like that just had, you know, if you're in and out of there in 3 minutes and you have nothing wrong with you, and you need more, you know, experience, I think it's the perfect time to, you know, maybe to get back in there. As long as you have a good matchup and you're fit and you're healthy, I think that's great. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of depends on the athlete and who it is, and you know. There's a lot of things that go into it behind the scenes. It's not as easy as, you know, a lot of people that don't understand MMA, you know, the casuals of just jumping back in there. It's not that easy. So, I think some situations it's great. And then other situations, you know, maybe you want to take some time, especially if you're banged up a bit.
All right, why don't we look at...
Sorry, it was his third fight in 2 months exactly. His third fight in 2 months. So that's the only argument I'd make is generally people who fight within a month, they're generally much more unlikely to win the second fight. So
yeah, because those feelings are like, it's not like, you know, it's MMA is such a different sport compared to like, you know, for example, for Loma, like when she fights Muay Thai or when she did, or any of the Thais that I train, it's like, like going to the grocery store for them. There's like, John's seen it firsthand. He's been with me in Korea before when I've had a Thai fighting, and for them, when they fight Muay Thai, it's honestly like going to the grocery store and just picking up some groceries, you know. But when they fight MMA, it's a completely different sport, and there's a lot more riding on every fight in MMA than there is in Muay Thai, just for example.
Yeah.
Well, there were a bunch of decisions at the beginning of the card, so it did spark into life with that Buckley KO. And then we got Chris Daukaus. Yeah, John, I know you interviewed him, the Philadelphia police officer. Great knockout, wasn't it? The cop. Here you go.
Kappa.
Yeah, this was impressive.
I like this guy, man. I like Chris Daukaus, man, a lot, man. Yeah. He has some fast hands for a heavyweight, and he's not a big heavyweight. I think he came in weighing like 227 or something like that versus his opponent who weighed in like 265. And it shows you that, man, his feet, his movement, and his quick hands, and he has that power too. And a lot of people don't know this dude's a jiu-jitsu black belt. He trained jiu-jitsu before he even started striking. So man, you can't like sleep on Daukaus. He's shown you in both of his fights in the UFC, he can smoke you on the feet and he can smoke you on the ground. Now he just needs to step up in competition. I think he should fight Ben Rothwell. If he's going to fight again, he just lost today, but I think like that would be a good test for Chris Daukaus, a big guy that will try to grapple him and even try to strike with him. And if you can knock him out, then that'll be a big name on his list of victims. But yeah, man, I love Chris Daukaus, a cool dude. And what were you going to say? Go ahead.
Is his brother in the UFC? This is the first time that I saw him. Is
Kyle Daukaus, he's going to fight. Yeah, he debuted, lost. Now he's going to go back to his original weight division, I think welterweight, and he's going to face off against the German guy that was on the Contender series, one of Ruby's guys.
Yeah.
Okay, what about this one, Tom Brees? Who's going to talk us through? Chris, did you like the look of this one? Just bring it up now.
Yeah, it did actually. I thought it was a fantastic fight. It wasn't exactly what I expected because KB Buller, from everyone I've talked about, everyone from Canada, he had a lot of hype riding on him, a lot going in. Supposed to be very well-rounded striker. And unfortunately, he didn't really get to show his ability.
Replay that reads.
Stung him.
Super jab.
That's it.
That's right on the button, you know.
Another knockout here in the UFC. Congratulations, Tom Breeze.
Let's see that again.
This is who I was talking about with the confidence thing.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Amateurs from Breeze in that is. He scores another knockout.
There we go. Yeah, as you said, KB Buller, you were hyping him up, weren't you, Chris? You said he was one to look out for on this card.
Yeah, definitely. All my friends in Canada, everyone I've spoken to, they've talked big things about him. He's been held in high regard. He's got a pretty solid record. And yeah, that's what happens when you get hit on the button. I mean, we only got to see him fight for about a minute and a half. So I hope he gets another opportunity to fight again in the UFC.
Okay. Yeah, John, equally impressed. I'm just trying to find a video of Tom Aspinall, another Brit. Who
What were you saying, George, about Tom Breeze? Like, I know that he had struggles with like building his confidence throughout the years, right?
That's when I said Aspinall earlier. That's who I think I was actually meaning was Tom Breeze, who obviously has been around for a while, but looked great in that performance. And I heard Dan Hardy talking about, he had spoke openly about like, the issues that he had and whatnot. But obviously after a performance like that, maybe he should jump right back in there and get another win or get another fight, to get that confidence going.
Well, Breeze, he started off the UFC with 3 straight wins. So, of course, he had a lot of confidence. And then after that, he started alternating wins and losses. And I think injuries played a factor in a lot of...
He had about 2 years
of his returns last year or the year before. And Breeze, he's a talent, man. Like, everybody knows that. I bet you he's one of those guys that when you train with him, he is phenomenal. And people are just wondering why he hasn't been fighting so often. And he was knocked out in his last fight against Brendan Allen, who another guy that is a phenomenal talent coming up in that division too. But with Tom Breeze, man, yeah, George, I agree with you. He got that win pretty easily and quick. He should return, man, like next month or something, or whenever they allow him to return, because why not? You know what I mean? Why not get in there and ride that wave, right?
And especially now, like with the UFC, there's just it's craziness. People are getting signed, people are getting cut, and you never know. Like as long as you stay ready at this time, you have a very good opportunity to get in there short notice.
Yeah, maybe even you.
Chris hates
What's that?
though.
Maybe even you might return on that short notice.
Nah, baby, I'm good.
All right, well, what about Tom Aspinall? He also had a good finish. I'm just bringing the video up now. Chris, you obviously know him better than us. Another one of the
Tom Aspinall, pretty much right now, I think, almost in the hardcore fans anyway, pretty much one of everyone's favorite up-and-coming heavyweights. Everyone loves the Tyson Fury connection. He's got fantastic boxing. His footwork is fantastic. You can tell he does have that like British-Irish class of striking that we do tend to produce back there. Find out at Team Cowban. And once again, getting the win. And I would actually have said, I think this is, he should be the one fighting Ben Rothwell next. I thought Ben Rothwell would be a great step for Tom Aspinall because I think he has a lot of star quality. He gets over really well on the mic. I love this post-fight interview. His interview on Friday was fantastic. He has got that little bit of swagger, chirpy, chappy from the north of England kind of style going on.
Is that where you're from?
Yeah, I'm from Liverpool. He's from just outside, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I heard that Scouse accent.
I love that he went for the takedown too. Like he didn't drop him, but he went for the takedown after a flurry and then finished him on the ground. It shows, some different aspect of his game. He's not just a guy that's just going to sit there and try to knock you out on the feet. He'll take it to the ground if he needs to. And that's great for Tom. But, these like Tom and then you got Dawkins, these guys that stand and have great boxing, great hands, power, speed. But man, when they go up the ranks and they face a guy like Curtis Blades, dude, like that's the test that I'm looking for. Is like they need to fight somebody that's in the heavyweight division that's going to try to wrestle them. And before they get to Curtis Blades, because if they just fight some guys that are going to stand and trade with them for every fight to rise up the ranks, they're going to hit Curtis Blades, man. That's in my opinion, Curtis Blades is one of the boogeymen in that heavyweight division, and everybody should be getting ready for that style because of course Francis Ngannou is there, you know what I mean, but he's gonna be there to fucking like knock your head off, like take your brain out the skull, right? But that's about it. But Curtis Blades is gonna sit there and just grind on you and grind on you. You got to prepare yourself for that. And I wonder if these guys are preparing themselves for that type of fighter. But in their next fight, I want to see them take on somebody that's going to try to take them down, you know, more than strike with them. And if they could get past that test, I think that they kind of legitimize themselves as a decent prospect that's going to enter that top 15. But I have high hopes for both guys, Aspinall and Dawkins. I just don't want them to fight each other. I hope the UFC doesn't do that. I hope the UFC doesn't, like, in their next fight, they face each other. That would suck, man. I wouldn't want to see that at all.
I'm trying to find Du Plessis. That was another good knockout, wasn't it? I think both of you picked Zalal, didn't you? Yusuf Zalal. And it looks like he had a unanimous decision loss to Ilya Taporia. Let's talk us through Du Plessis while I find this video. That was impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know him as well. He's been to Thailand before back in the day, and he's managed by Rubia as well. But he's I knew like coming in that he was good. And I think he even said it after the fight, on the post fight, that he when they interviewed him, that he was a little bit, had the jitters and whatnot. But I think he did a good job of, like, when the other guy came to attack, of just covering up and using good counter strikes, and it eventually paid off.
Here's the celebration.
With a lot of these guys, right, getting signed, George, and from all over the world, right? So do you ever watch a UFC and you're just like, I know that guy, but you didn't know his name when you met him before, you know what I mean? Like, you don't remember him, but he's been through Tiger, because there's so many fighters that been through Tiger over the last how many years, man?
A long time. I've been there almost 7 years. Last week, before Loma's fight, in the same locker room as us, the fight that was a draw, the kid from Canada, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. There was a fight that was a draw. What fight was a draw last week?
It was with Josh from Australia and against his opponent.
Josh from Australia. I don't remember. I don't remember that fight.
But it was last week.
It was all kinds of, like, I think, controversy about it, or like, maybe not controversy, but people were talking about it. Anyways, the kid from Canada.
Jourdain, you mean?
Yes, Jourdain.
Jourdain and Kudabel. Okay.
Yeah, in the locker room, he was in the same locker room as Loma, so, like, he kind of, like, smiled and, like, gave me a fist bump when he came in, and I felt so terrible once he talked to me and told me that he had been to Tiger like 2 years ago. And I was like, man, I'm so sorry. Like, I just see so many people. And he was like, no, it's all good. And, like, he was, like, super nice. And then I remember, like, the more I spoke to him, I remember now giving him some banter when he was out there. But yeah, there's just so many people that come through Tiger that it's hard to remember everybody. And then I meet people all the time that, that have been through at some point, whether it was 6.5 years ago or, 6 months ago.
Well, yeah, Du Plessis, that was impressive. Any other finishes I'm missing on the prelims? I'm just looking at the card now. I think we've got it all covered, and we can break down the co-main. 1 second. Yeah, Marcin Tybura.
Can I take this on? I told everyone on the preview that this was going to be a boring 15-minute heavyweight fight. I didn't watch it because this one I decided to make my breakfast. I think I was right.
Yeah, it was not great. I watched this one. It is what it is, isn't it? I think we were spoiled with a bunch of those finishes.
Yeah.
John or George, if you have anything you want to say on that one, please do.
Not really, mate.
Hey, it doesn't matter like who won or lost this fight. It does matter, but like when you think about it, when they get matched up again, they're gonna get matched up against a prospect, somebody that's outside the top 15. That's what's gonna happen because of how this fight played out. I don't see Tybura getting a ranked opponent anytime soon, and Ben Rothwell, him too. I see them kind of as somewhat, I don't want to call them gatekeepers, but they're floating in that middle range in that heavyweight division. And when you're floating around there, they're not going to give you a good fight or a good name or a fight that's going to move you up the ranks. They're going to give you a fight that you need to prove yourself to get the next fight. And that's what's going to happen with these guys. And that's what I see. You're right. It wasn't like the best fight, but man, Rothwell was pretty beat up at the end of the fight. Did you see him when he got up at the end of the third round? He was still wobbly, you know, and that makes me wonder, like, man,
How about that output?
Ben Rothwell taking, look at that. That's crazy.
That
561 strikes attempted, second most strikes attempted in a 3-round UFC
insane.
heavyweight fight. Yeah, that's cool. So there is something of note. All right. Okay, what about the co-main event, though? A bit better. Edson Barboza getting back on track there against Makwan Amirkhani. Unanimous decision. Pretty emphatic, wasn't it, Chris? I think.
Oh, yeah, it was. Actually, I was nodding my head at the television when I actually heard that one of the judges had it 29-28. It was ridiculous to actually have a judge that pretty much only got one round right, because I thought there was a 10-8 round. So to get 29-28 is a terrible decision by the judge. And I know we have a go at judges when they get the decision wrong, but even though they got it right, they still got it so wrong that we should be kicking up a fuss about this, because that was terrible judging, but at least it went the correct way. It was a great fight, actually, and better than I thought it would be. Got to see a bit of everything. What are we laughing at there, Nick?
29-28.
Yeah.
Crazy.
30-26.
Ridiculous.
Hey, what did you think, George, about Barboza's, or what do you think about Barboza's like takedown defense, man? His takedown defense is pretty damn good, don't you think? Like, a lot of people don't talk about it too much, but because, you know, like, he's been wrestled by like great wrestlers like Khabib. Like, nobody defends his takedowns really, so you don't expect, you know, nothing less from that. But like, even with Kevin Lee, you know, he's a great wrestler too. And I know Kevin Lee's been out there at Tiger training out there. And what do you think about him in this fight, though, with his wrestling, like his defensive wrestling?
I think that he's really, like, he's strong for this weight class, and I think that he's very fast twitch muscled and very athletic. I think old mate did get him down like 1 or 2 times, correct? And I think that was more near the fence. Which becomes like not really wrestling. It's just a completely different style of wrestling, like Khabib is very good at. Obviously, you have to be, you know, well versed there. But even when he did get taken down, you know, Amirkhani didn't really put any hard ground and pound or hurt him. You know, he got back to his feet, and I thought that Barboza did a great job during the fight. He controlled the distance. He used his right leg a lot to, you know, to not only do damage with in his right hand, but to feint with that stuff as well and control the distance. And you could just see Amirkhani like really, you know, getting frustrated, trying to get him back to the ground. And that was really his only shot at getting him there. Because even in the third round, I believe after he got taken down and he got back up, he dropped him again with the right hand and then was smacking him with that like shovel hook right hand to the body. And I mean, that was like sounding like a gun going off. So I thought that he did a good job. I thought that's the thing to me, you know, like, I'm a former wrestler myself, but there's nothing more boring than watching somebody take somebody down and just lay on them. Like the other night when I was chatting when we were watching the ONE FC fights, I mean, that's what, like, that guy, like, I've cornered against that guy, but this time was even worse. He was just like running from DSA and then shooting, getting him down, but there was no like damage. So if you're going to take people down, I think that, you know, it really needs to be like high level grappling, or, you know, you're really trying to inflict damage with ground and pound.
Victor Wolf, that's the name.
Oh yeah,
they need to get him out. Get him out.
This dude gave the last round to Amirkhani. Amirkhani got knocked down in that fight, right? Or in that round. That is pretty crazy, man. Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Like, you know, like George points out something that's very interesting about grappling along the cage. That's a whole nother game, a whole nother level of MMA, I believe. That's different from wrestling, you know, in the middle, out in the open. And like you said, man, I think fighters should be working on that a lot, man, all the time, defensively and offensively. And there's only certain guys out there. I think there's only certain coaches out there that really know how to teach that, well, because you don't see a lot of people or a lot of fighters that are well versed in that, just that aspect. So, I'll be very interested to see like how what Habib does after he retires, because if he starts coaching, man, he's gonna be creating some monsters over there in Dagestan, man. I'm serious. Like, it's gonna be pretty insane. But going back to the fight, like Americani, man, props to him. He took the chance. He took the opportunity to take this fight on short notice against Barboza, which is what he was extremely dangerous, and he tried his best, man. And props to him for that. Of course, he was outclassed, like most people thought he would be, especially with the striking, and Barboza did his thing, man. And Barboza, you got to understand that this is his second fight at 145, and he's still getting his footing and getting used to his body at this weight and performing in the cage. And I just feel like he's going to make a run in this division. He's going to fight. His next fight is going to be against somebody that's a top guy, top 10 guy. But you got to understand also that Barboza is 2-5 in his last 7. Think about that too, right? And that's the reason why he dropped down to 145. But I feel like this is going to be his second run in the UFC, and he's going to do it in the featherweight division. Who do you see could possibly fight Barboza next in the featherweight division, Chris?
For some reason, I can't get Shane Burgos out of my head at all. I think Shane Burgos would be a fantastic fight. He's probably ranked a little bit too high and a bit of a forgotten man of the division, even though he's ranked about 6th or 7th. Josh Emmett would be fantastic, but I don't know if Josh would want to fight someone who's ranked 14. So we'll see where Barboza probably ranks on Monday. If they put him up a few places, maybe he could get Josh Emmett, but I think Shane Burgos would be fantastic.
I think that about wraps it up. Sorry, that about wraps it up for that card. Unless you guys wanted to point out any of the other fights we haven't talked about yet.
No.
Yep, cool. All right, what about next week? What have we got? I'm trying to scratch. It's a Korean Zombie, isn't it, John? Your boy.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, well, he's not my boy, but
He's your boy.
He's your boy.
He's not my boy, but but hey. You got in this fight coming up, Korean Zombie, man. It's good because they've been going at it for the last year, and it's finally going to happen. Both of them are on Fight Island, which means the fight is gonna happen, right? One thing that's interesting about Brian Ortega is that his coach, his longtime coach, Henry Gracie, tested positive for COVID like a month ago, and then he got tested again. And they came back negative, and he got tested in Vegas negative, and the second test in Vegas, I guess, came back positive, and then he was not able to go to Fight Island with Brian Ortega. Would that be something to look at? I don't know, maybe.
But doesn't he have another coach now?
Oh, he does have a few other coaches. One of his coaches, his main coaches, is Dr. Jason Park, who is also Korean, and been coaching him for the last couple camps, and that's going to be interesting because you got Eddie Cha, who's all Korean, coaching the Korean Zombie, and on the other side you got Brian Ortega being coached by Dr. Jason Park, who is also Korean. So it's like a lot of Koreans in that main event being involved, right, and intertwined with each other. Yeah, he's a doctor too. He's a physical therapist, and he's a physical therapist. So he's the one who actually worked on Ortega's knee when Ortega pulled out of the fight last December against the Zombie and rehabbed him. And so Brian Ortega has a lot of trust in him. And he also works with Anderson Silva and coaches him Muay Thai. So the dude knows a lot of shit with like the body and even with the striking aspects. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of Brian Ortega comes out in this fight, because we haven't seen him in 2 years. And he's made all these drastic changes in his like sparring partners, in his coaching staff, and he sparred a lot with like TJ Dillashaw, Archuleta, Cub Swanson guys, at Rain Training Center, or I think it's Rain. I forgot. They always change the name, but over there with those guys in LA. So man, it's gonna be a fun fight. We know what the Zombie's been through.
Also, the Jessica Andrade Chikugian fight, I think, is absolutely going to be fantastic. And I've got to big up my boy, Modestas Bukauskas, because just awesome name, awesome attitude. He's kind of got like a little bit of a British gentleman kind of thing going on. I like him a lot.
Yeah, check out Don's interview with him. I think is already up, isn't it, John, on SCMP MMA YouTube?
Yeah, it's up. Is there any? What? Can you scroll down? Let's see what other fights are on here. You see anybody you know, George?
Jimmy Crute.
Oh, we got
My
one.
man, and Anti Gulov.
Striegel is here.
Oh yeah, Striegel.
Yeah.
Strigel's fighting. He's making his UFC debut.
Is this one of Khabib's cousins?
Yeah,
or
no,
what?
Nurmagomedov.
Okay.
He's been through Tiger
Yeah, him and Anti Gulov.
Okay.
all together. Why you laugh with Antigula?
Just because he makes me laugh, bro. He's funny. Like at first, when he first came, he was like very standoffish and like he doesn't really speak English. But once Frank started doing one of the Chechen or Dagestan dances, then he opened up a bit and started dancing. And then one time he was in his underwear, like after training, like he was just changing. He didn't care at all. And Frank just looked at him. He's like, "Damn, you got the hammer out." And he was just like, but he didn't know what Frank said. And we were just like all laughing.
Hey,
cool.
the Korean lost in all the Koreans is Junyoung Park, man. He's fighting John Phillips, a man from Wales. Man, I feel bad for him. He's lost in the mix, but I think he's favored in this fight. I think he's gonna win this fight against John
He got
Phillips.
the hands of steel,
do you
right?
remember- Yeah, and he's the, what is it? His nickname is the Ninja Turtle because he looks like a Korean Ninja Turtle, right? Look at him.
Yeah, he does.
But yeah, and John Phillips is the one famous for getting smashed by Khamzat Chimaev in his debut, I believe.
Well, I hope
Yes.
he got some good defense standing because the Korean guys got like really heavy hands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Glenn Sparv knows, right? He fought
Yeah, I
him.
remember that. Yeah, I remember when he
Yeah,
fought him.
and,
That kid's good, man.
Yeah, and James Krause is back. Late notice against Claudio Silva. Claudio Silva is good, man. He just doesn't fight too often, but man, I think James Krause is. He's taking a risk, man, by taking this short notice fight against Silva, man. Like you said, George, earlier, it all depends on like who you fight. And Claudio Silva, man, he's good. Like, were you in the corner when he fought Nadine or Nordine?
No.
No, okay. So, well, Silva fought Nordine, and Nordine's good, and Silva finished Nordine, right? So, man, it's a crazy.
I think I remember.
That's a good
Yeah,
fight
yeah, I
right there.
remember that now.
What about Cyril
but,
Gane? He's back. We saw him in Korea as well, right, John?
He is a massive man.
Yeah, he's big. Yeah.
Bro, he was in Singapore when I was holding pads for Loma before a fight. He was in there, and I think that might have been his debut or like his second fight. And he is a massive man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's big.
He
when he
knocked out
sits
Tanner
down,
Costa, right? Or was it a decision? I can't remember.
yeah,
I think he
it was
finished the guy in a
he finished
submission.
Submission. It was like a leg lock or something. Something that we didn't expect.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was like a heel hook. Who's that guy he's fighting? Who's him? Ante Delija.
He's a
Croatia.
Croatian.
Walk in trouble.
I'm trying to find his record.
What? His
Walking
nickname is
Trouble.
Walking Trouble. Man, sometimes I wonder, like, who gives these people these nicknames? They should take a page out of the Koreans' nicknames, man. Like, you don't get any better. Like, some of the nicknames
Rising
He lost
Korean fighters have.
Tabora.
EFL, KSW.
He's beaten Ollie Thompson,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he lost to Marcin.
yeah, by a leg injury. But that was an injury. So
I didn't see that.
he fought
Valentine
Valentine Overeem.
Yeah.
That was 2000. This guy's been around for a while, man. Look at how far it goes. He goes back. 2013, 2012, 11. Man,
Isn't
2011.
there on this card? Isn't there a Polish guy, former KSW champion, I think, fighting as well? And
Gamarat.
Gamarat, yeah.
He's
Speaking
a
to my
gun.
Polish friends, apparently in KSW he was just an absolute beast. I mean, 17.
He is, mate. He is. Who's he fighting?
One sec.
He's trained in Thailand
Guram
before. He's very good.
Kutateladze.
Because that is one thing that does seem to be a bit of the oddity about Fight Island is right now there's been so many KSW champions and Cage Warrior champions. I don't know how those organizations are gonna find all their new champions because the UFC seem to be signing everyone.
And
Yeah.
Gamrot,
And
he's good.
Yeah.
Like what is he good at? Like, like for somebody that hasn't never seen him fight in KSW.
I don't remember his. Is this his record? As I'm getting ready to like talk about him, I don't remember honestly. I think his striking's pretty good. I can't remember honestly about his striking. Well, I know that he beat Kleber, who I've lost to, and he's a very, very high level grappler. And I grappled with Gamrot and wrestled with him. He wrestled on the freestyle team, I believe, and represented Poland on their national team. And not only like he can wrestle, but he's not just a wrestler that wants to take people down and just hold them. Like he has very good submissions as well and ground and pound.
Man, he beat Mansour, who is a monster.
Yeah, there you
Norman
go. Like
Park twice.
Norman Park, Mansour,
And Kleber, who should be in the UFC right now, man. I don't understand how the
100%, bro.
UFC never signed Kleber.
Yeah.
Man, that like, yes. So those three guys, like a lot of people may have no idea who they are, but I mean, obviously we know who they are, and that those are very good, very high level
Those are
guys.
good big wins. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him fight in the UFC. I think he wins this fight though. I think that they set him up with a good fight, his first fight in the UFC. But we'll see. We don't know what Guram's gonna come with, man. He's been in the game for a while, so we'll see what happens. But shout out to my Korean boys, Junyoung Park and the Korean Zombie. I'm gonna go for both of them, of course, because
So John, you're not saying bet the house on Ortega?
Man, I think the fight is a lot closer than a lot of people think it is. I feel like Ortega is going to come out. It all depends on like how emotional these guys get once they step into the cage. Does the Korean Zombie keep his cool? Does the Ortega keep his cool? Like
my problem is Korean Zombie's got such good striking, such fast, powerful hands, and I just can't see how you, unless Ortega's made massive changes, all you have to do is look at that Holloway fight. I like Ortega. He seems like a nice guy, but every time I watch that Holloway fight back, it just doesn't look any better. It actually looks worse the more I go back and watch it.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like an Amanda Nunes title fight. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like a featherweight title fight. It looks like there's a big gulf in class between the two. And I mean, isn't that what you would do with any of your boys who had to fight Ortega? Isn't it you show them that Holloway video and don't you build from there?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm asking the coach.
Yeah, but I just like I want to see Zombie win so Volkanovski can go ahead and sit him down. I like Zombie. Like I hope he beats Ortega, but I want to see him fight Volkanovski so we can go ahead and finish that off.
Wow. Beef.
No beef. I'm support him. I like him. I'm all for the Koreans.
Yeah.
Didn't who was it? Eric Albarazin saying, "Yeah, we're coming for Volkanovski to Adesanya."
And
right?
you see what Izzy did when he said that too.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see him on the way to the cage, like jumping around and stuff?
I gotta watch that again.
Man, if you watch the fight again on the walkout when Costa comes out, you can see Eric like jumping around and going like this and like he's just like all into it.
If you watch it, with the referee when they're saying like touch gloves and protect yourself at all times and whatnot, you can see it and he's dancing in the background trying to put off Israel Adesanya, and it's like, what are you doing, man? You know?
Yeah, bro. He was cool as a cucumber, and then he went over afterwards and dogged him. I don't know if I can say that on here, so sorry if I'm not allowed to. And
That's all right. Go for it.
and then went over to the corner and like said that. But like, man, like all the crap that they talked before the fight, and like like Israel's vocal, but he I think stayed pretty calm and didn't talk a lot of trash before the fight. But obviously, has just been feeding it to him afterwards, as he deserves.
Man, let's be real. They talk trash back and forth, man. Not one side was worse. Of course, Israel wasn't making the videos and doing those little skits.
Yeah, I mean, I think like when like on the interview that they had together, like yeah, of course, Israel, like when you're on a video call with another guy and he's like talking crap, yeah, like I think he says stuff back, but yeah, he didn't go overboard with it, like outside of that, I think with the interviews, but obviously we've seen what he's done to him now. But I mean, Costa should just stop and then like just work his way back up if he wants to fight him again.
Oh, and I think he will. I think Costa's talented enough to where he's going to be able to come back real quick, like in a couple fights, and be able to get the rematch. It's just that
so
I just wonder what he was saying. Look at that. He sprayed on him. He sprayed on him right there.
Oh, that was so good.
And the elbows from the top, raining down.
But man, hey, one thing about Eric, the coach right there, he's very passionate and he's very supportive about his fighters, man, and you can't take that away from him, man. Even though he might have said some things out of order, and he drives a Ferrari. What coach in MMA drives a Ferrari? Tell me any coach in MMA that drives a Ferrari.
Only George, Eric Albertson, man.
George, are we gonna get you to copy the Eric style and get the big glasses and some bling bling?
Never, mate. That's not my style. That's let the fighter have the spotlight. That's not me, man.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Would Alex take that fight against Cejudo if that ever happens?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm sure if they wrote him a nice check, but like it's like they've said in the media before, like what does that fight do? Like he goes out there and smashes them, and everyone's going to expect that. But like for me, like as a fan, like. Because I'm not Alex's coach. I'm like, when he comes to Tiger, we were training partners, we were teammates, and it's awesome to see his success and stuff. And he's like the nicest guy in the world, but like, he doesn't even like put any, effort into like talking trash really back to him. Like if he wants to come out of retirement or if he wants to like still say stuff, then like, bro, just come out of retirement and like fight again or do what you got to do to fight Alex. But if not, just like stop.
Yeah, for someone who's retired, he's like all over. He was at Trump's rally, wasn't he, with Dana and Ali Abdelaziz, Colby, Gaethje. Doesn't seem like he's retired.
Yeah, I mean, he still like obviously stays in the media, but in this day and age, that's like I guess that's part of it is being in the media and having clicks and whatnot.
You have to. Hey, it's part of the game. If you don't want to do that, then you're not going to get the big fights. Winning is one way, but it's not every way, and it's not the only way. And that's the sad truth, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's the like fighting now in MMA and when just fighting in general is not what it was, different eras before the era that we're in now. Like, I mean, I heard an interview the other day of a coach saying like, in my era, if you would have said something like that, it was like, as soon as we saw each other, there'd be a fight. But now it's building the fight, and social media is just like not only in fighting but in every part of life. It's just so huge. I mean, obviously we see like the things that come out about it now, but like it's just social media is so huge, and that's like how many views did that knockout get earlier? Like that kid's life is like I bet if we looked at his Instagram or his Twitter before that fight compared to what it is right now, it's probably insane. Even Chimaev. Yeah. Like I remember because they brought me back in after the weigh-ins to translate for Loma, which obviously you guys saw me translate and was terrible. But like for Dana's speech, like, for the fighters after the weigh-ins that he always gives. And like, I was like explaining to her like what he was saying. And he said about Chimaev, like he had, I don't even remember how many followers before that fight. And then, 2 months later, he's got almost 1 million followers. Like it's, like things like that is just it's insane what can happen with social media. So yeah, of course, like I understand that people are going to like talk shit and things like that. So it's not my.
But the thing is, like having 1 million followers, to be honest with you, outside of actually getting into the cage and fighting, having 1 million followers doesn't mean shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
no, not at all.
Unless you're selling products or something like that, it doesn't really mean anything. If on Instagram or whatever like that, right?
I'm sure like you can get it helps with sponsors, but like that's it doesn't really. What does it mean?
It can help though having all those followers because there's people in the UFC who've been given fights on main cards because they have those followings. You can look at Hardy. You can look at who was the wrestler CM Punk. I mean, they got on the main cards because they had followers. So. it does kind of count as well. On the other hand,
in this industry, it counts, but I mean, in life, like really, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like in fighting, though, that's what I'm talking about. Like, of course, like you said, it
doesn't mean it doesn't
like
it
getting
doesn't correlate with your skill, but
exactly,
it correlates
that's what I'm
with the
saying.
industry of like getting more money and sponsors and shit like that.
But then, like there's two sides to it. Like you just said, in Dana White in the fighter meeting, he's telling everybody Chimaev, he was like this many followers, now he's 1 million. But then he goes back and says other shit like, oh, you have to win, or like there's so much flipping and flopping in this industry. It's just pretty much like whatever they want to do, they're gonna do. And if you don't go along with it, then
it's the biggest promotion in the world. Yeah, it's the biggest promotion in the world by far, like boxing, MMA, anything. And, whatever they say is like, that's like the trendy thing. I don't know. Don't get me started on this.
Well, maybe we'll...
So who you guys got lined up at Tiger that are fighting soon?
I don't think anyone right now.
Not even Rafa?
Oh, yes. Sorry, Rafa, if you're watching this. Yes, we have Rafael on November 28th in Vegas. That is the only fight that we have lined up currently. It's just such a strange time, as far as I know. It's just like such a strange time because normally, like up until February when I went to New Zealand, I'm usually gone every month, at least one time, if not 2 or 3 times. Usually like once or twice a month. But this was the first trip that I've been on since February, outside of going to one championship in Bangkok, which was still in Thailand. So it's been a very strange time. And even, like fighters, usually there's so many fighters coming through back to back and stuff that myself or my brother travel with. And now it's been quite slow. So
even with like the quarantines, right? When you get back to the country, that must have somewhat of effect on like who goes out to corner certain fighters, right? It has to, right? It has to have some kind of impact because when you get back, you have to spend 2 weeks and you can't do anything. You can't even you can't do anything. You're just stuck like you're doing it right now. So if you do go to Vegas, you got to go to Vegas and then you got to come back and then you got to come back and do another 2-week quarantine. So these countries need to start creating these like what is it called? What is it called? Fast lane?
Green lane.
I don't know, man. Something needs to change in the world. Yeah, green lane, whatever. Like, I'm over it. I'm so over it.
Yeah.
Of course, everyone else is, but it makes things complicated.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, me and John, we're hoping they open a green lane to Singapore for Korea and Hong Kong, and then we can go to one championship at the end of the month.
They should open a green lane for Thailand because there hasn't been COVID locally transmitted in some ridiculous amount of time. Like this country more than anywhere, it's like obviously they haven't let people in. They've done a good job of containing it, but if the world needs to change and heal and something needs to happen, but I'm not that smart, so they're going to be coming for me.
All right. Are we all good? I reckon that about covers everything. Yeah, thanks, George Hickman, for jumping on. Really insightful stuff from you. Really appreciate it, man. Hopefully we can get you back.
It's a pleasure.
Maybe we'll have you back on next week after the Korean Zombie. Are you going to be in quarantine next Sunday?
I'll still be in quarantine, mate.
Oh, damn. We're going to have a repeat.
Well, hold on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, though. Isn't Lomachenko next Sunday as well?
I don't even know.
Yeah,
the 17th. So if you want to have it after the Lomachenko fight, then I'll jump on. But I need to watch that. Yeah,
that's gonna be fire.
All right, I guess we could set it up somehow, some way, or maybe you could hop on during the live fight companion. We'll see what happens.
One FC this Friday, right? They already recorded all those, haven't they?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna do that, right?
I don't know, but
if we can try,
if they're. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be viewing from afar, just commenting on it. I don't even know who's fighting.
I got the card here. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to show this, but
no, you are because they already announced the card.
Okay,
John,
because I got some drive, like a drive with all the video clips from them. I forgot I had it. They gave it to me in January.
Yeah, so but. You know who's coming back is I think we talked about this during the live show, but Keanu Suba's coming back after he broke his leg, and I think that's
This
the most
weekend?
interesting thing. Yeah, this weekend.
Oh, mate, who's he fighting?
I don't know, but
Who?
Tang Kai, Chinese guy.
Yeah, with the blonde hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Suba, man. I hope he does well. He's a good kid.
Yeah.
but if it already happened, then we already know it happened. Like, I don't know. I don't know what we do, man. Like, do we go live? I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, that doesn't have the names on it.
I know Wang Wanfeng is also fighting. He's pretty fun, pretty entertaining.
Who?
Yeah, I think China has like a green lane with Singapore. It seems like, because there's a lot of Chinese fighters this week, last week, and this week coming up.
Every fight this week has a Chinese fighter.
Yeah,
I think
that's
every
interesting.
fight,
Well, what can you do, man?
yeah.
Yeah. Suba's not on this one.
Maybe there's a
You gotta
maybe
go
it's
to
gonna
Asia,
be
right?
when
He is. Sorry. I've got it here.
Let's see. Let's light it
I'm
up.
not so good at this technology.
Isn't it Reign of Dynasties 2?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tang Kai.
I'm not going to know
Zhang
too much.
Jung Yu.
so only 2 mixed martial arts fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the guy I was thinking of. Tang Kai. Yeah, I don't think that was who I was thinking of.
Wow, that's interesting. Like how they have every fight has a Chinese fighter come in the fight, in the matchup.
They should have called it China versus the world.
Yeah.
For real.
Well, not really, because it's just all Asian fighters. But
But
Oh, that-
Wang Wanfeng is pretty good.
Sakadao.
His fight with who did he fight? Elias Anachai. That was a pretty good fight. I remember that one, but it's not the strongest card.
I'll be watching it anyway.
Yeah,
Wang
I mean,
Ping
there's
and
nothing else on TV to watch.
Yeah.
Yao Ling
Yeah.
Hao and Han
But I
Zi
think-
Hao.
Yeah, it's not as big as that one on October 30, obviously.
Man,
which-
One Championship has some like major sponsors though, right?
Yeah.
Like Xbox, they got Food Panda, they got Xiaomi or whatever, and then they got JBL.
Isn't that the former Road FC sponsor?
It is the former Road FC sponsor. That means I think that maybe that's the reason why they have so many Chinese fighters on here, right? They might be
Could be.
broadcasted throughout China with Xiaomi all over it. I don't even know if you're saying
Yeah.
that right.
When is the
I'm saying
next
that
Road
right.
FC card?
They don't have anything planned. I don't think they're gonna have one. They have those ARC cards, which is like the smaller one, like I guess prospect show. But with the Road
Is
FC,
that like
I have
Young
no idea.
Guns?
It's like Young Guns, yeah, but they just have a different name for it because they're like collaborating with Africa TV, and they stream
okay.
it through that channel, and they probably get sponsorship money from them with that too. But I think it's next weekend, next Saturday. So I'll probably go. It's not too far from my house.
Cool.
Check it out.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll hopefully get George back in some form, whether it's on a recap or Fight Companion. It's been great to have you, George. Thank you so much. Thanks, John.
Thank you guys for having me.
No, I hope it livened up your day in quarantine a little bit.
Mate, it has. Because otherwise I don't know what I'd be doing right now.
All
You
right,
know, the
man.
yoga.
Get my yoga on.
Cool. Well, glad we could help. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks, John. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We see you again next time. Cheers.